Hello, everybody. How are you doing? It's me. Hi, Moonhorse. You knew that. You're on my channel. I'm here to read you a story, as one does. This is from Reddit user A Silverburb. I still like your name. A confusing title about a confusing guy. Neckbeard? Question mark? Okay. I'm not really sure what to call this guy. He's now an ex-friend of mine who some people I know have labeled as an incel or neckbeard. I'm not honestly sure, but hopefully it's a story that entertains. Sorry ahead of my tons of skips and jumps. This story happens over the span of about 6 years, and as such, I'll try my best to recount things as best I can. I'm not the best writer, but I still hope you all enjoy my walls o' text. I'm certain we will. This is SB, myself, inconsistent appearance over the story, completely socially oblivious, extra salt, meme lord. D, ex-friend, 5'9", about 350 pounds, long curly hair, patchy neckbeard with pedo stash. Oh, the combo. Constantly makes a grunting noise at random every 30 seconds. What? F, SB's roommate, sassy weeb girl, long brown hair, glasses, comes in later in the story. B, D's friend, tall, wide guy of about 5'11". R, D's roommate, thin, long curly hair, quiet and easygoing guy for the most part, around D's height, soft-spoken. G, SB's friend, small girl, thin, bit wild and loud, but loyal as fuck. She tries her best. So let's jump into the story. This epic tale will start with your boy, at the time about 5'3", kid in the 7th grade, trying to find their place. I had tried and failed to make friends with some of the students G knew, but eventually, it didn't work out. I wanted to say it was about halfway through the school year that G and I were made aware of an after-school program. It was mostly just for kids who wanted to goof off, computers, board games, snacks, etc. Turned out to be pretty cool. This is where I met D. It was around the time that the old Nintendo DS systems were all the rage. He was sitting against a wall playing some game. Of course, the only other person I'd ever known to play DS was G, and I was excited to see someone else with similar interests. I remember walking up to him. Hey, is that a DS? Yeah. And strangely enough, that was how we started a friendship. I learned that D was a grade above me, and we ended up trading phone numbers after a few days of talking in a club. I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was genuinely happy to have at least made one other friend. I could spend the entire day writing an entire book about the tiny details, but let's keep to the important details for everyone's sake. For starters, I was a confused little edgelord at my time. I was about 14. Yeah, it'll do that to people. I bring this up to say I'm not, nor was I ever, a completely innocent or great person. I went a little overboard in my own ways of acting, and that's probably the reason why B and R didn't care to be around me the first few times we all hung out at D's mutual friend's place. D liked to hang around me because I knew about his rough home life with his mother. She'd try to keep him home with her because she wanted him to only spend time with her and to have no life. They were also extremely poor, not really well off. So D would come over, and Mom and I would feed and look after him. We talked about very private things, and overall bonded. He kind of turned me into a weeb, and we even dated for a while. Although it turned into an on-again, off-again kind of thing, I eventually realized that I was dating for all the wrong reasons, and I stopped seeing him in that way. It seemed he never moved on. This is important for later. At this point, I'll add that D would always refuse to hang around me when G was around. And seeing G and I lived in the same neighborhood, I would often have to work around this. Even birthdays were awkward. I was also around 15 or 16 when I got snakebite piercings. He voiced his distaste, but it was mild, and thus it was brushed off. We were also still dating, so I figured that was the reason he voiced his opinion. After I broke up with him for good, he would also get upset if I was dating other people. But not enough to stop hanging around me, so things were okay, I guess. Hindsight's 20/20. Red flags were all there. Now, things didn't really turn weird until after I moved back to my hometown after living across the country for over 2 years. I'm 19 by this point. I had met F while living there, and eventually she became my roommate after about a year of me moving back. Even as I'm typing this, I wonder if it was D or I that changed as a person, or even if both of us turned into different people, seeing as D and I didn't really talk much after I had moved back home. D had moved in with R and got contact with his mother. Overall, I was just happy to be able to see my friends again, including G, who I surprised by showing up on her doorstep to give her a hug. G and I are still friends to this day. She hasn't changed much from what I could tell. Edit. I thought I should also add that at this point, D had started to act rather entitled when coming over to my house, making a point to cough loudly if he saw my mom with a cigarette in her hand, even if it was unlit, showing up at my house just to rest while out on his walks even if I wasn't there, or even just helping himself to my roommate's food. You know, you tell people to make themselves at home and they just take it a little too far. It's not a good feeling. D would hang out with me on the weekends and watch anime when we're not busy with our lives. Ever so slowly, I began to notice the comments he would make during our random talks. What kind of pasta do you like? Just simple butter, cheese, something like that. SB loves the spaghetti. Leave me alone. Oh, I'd be careful with butter. Gotta keep your figure for your boyfriend. After that comment, I took a break from talking with D. I know I'm not the fittest guy, but he had a good 100 pounds on me, you know. Plus, how is my body type any of his business? After about 2 months of radio silence, I asked him, "You been okay lately?" He said he'd been fine. I finally voiced to him that he had pissed me off with his comments. After him apologizing for, quote, whatever he did, I walked him through exactly what was wrong with what he said, and asked him not to make those kinds of comments. I wanted to still be friends. He was a self-proclaimed idiot since I met him. I was bullied in school, and those kind of comments really rubbed me the wrong way. Thus, I felt I needed to tell him instead of silently just being angry. He apologized and said that he wouldn't make those jokes if they bothered me so much. Classy guy. After said boyfriend and I had broken up, D and I had a whole new level of weirdly deep conversations. You see, D had been out to me as bi since about the 9th grade, but never really brought up the fact that he also liked guys. I'm a trans dude who came out when I was still living across the country, and one day he asked me, "Can I talk to you about something? B&R wouldn't take me seriously if I talked to them about it." "Oh, sure, man, what's up?" "I'm really curious of what it's like to suck a penis." Hold the fuck up. What? I'm questioning my own sexuality as well, but I'm not really into the whole sex thing. I'm just trying my best to be supportive of my friend whom I figured was just having a hard time with his own sexuality. I wouldn't know, D. I'm sure you'll figure it out. "Oh, well, I'll suck yours when you get one if you want." Silverburb.exe has stopped working. The conversation sort of divulged into other things after I quickly changed the subject to laundry detergent or whatever. I believe I was doing laundry as we talked. After this, I ended up trying to introduce D to an old friend of mine from the 8th/9th grade who ended up coming out as gay. D despised this and threw a fit about how he didn't want to be friends with him because he lived too close to his workplace and was scared. He told me that he didn't want me to hook him up with people, so I said, okay, fine. Maybe that was my bad, and I'll take my share of the blame, but I just don't want him fantasizing about giving my pee-pee this suck. That's pretty good. Around a year later, we ended up going to a large convention known for happening in the Northeast. He had gotten me a full event pass as a Christmas gift. I'd never gone to this convention before, but D&R let me stay at the hotel with them, as our hometown is a decent 3-hour drive away. I'm extremely grateful, and I thank them up and down, offering to help pay for supplies, as well as slipping B some gas money. It's also important to add here that F was arriving to stay with us the day after I would be back from the convention. My mother had insisted I bring my medication with me. I have a PRN, kind of like a take-as-needed thing, of prescription anxiety medication, as I have some really bad anxiety and panic attacks. Oh, jeez, I'm so sorry. To the point that the bad ones make me feel like I'll pass out. Oh, wow. Not to mention, once or twice I've gotten physically sick from the panic attacks. Wow. I really hope you're okay. That's scary. This is important, seeing everyone except yours truly had a key to the room. I wasn't aware of this fact until I was the only one without a card key upon checking into the hotel. This made me uneasy, but I didn't push the issue, seeing as I was just happy to be there as a +1 sort of deal. The first day was us arriving to check in and settle down before the convention the next morning. I have had bad hip/back problems since I was about 15, so Dee insisted that I take one of the beds. There were only 2 beds for D, R, and I to work out sleeping arrangements with. B and his girlfriend slept in the room next door. Dee had taken the other bed at some point after I fell asleep. I went to bed early due to not sleeping the night before from just pure excitement. When I woke it up, I saw that poor R had been forced to sleep at the room's desk the entire night. I was out about 4 or 5 a.m. now. Hey, you awake, R? Yeah. I'm up for the day. You want the bed? Yes, thank you. I felt super bad for the guy. I started to get ready, and Dee ended up waking up as soon as I was about to leave the room. So I waited for him to get dressed so we could go get breakfast together. While in line, we lightly argued over who was going to pay, as we always did. I never felt comfortable with people buying me things. Dee and I ended up shaking hands and agreeing that I would pay for breakfast for us and Dee would buy dinner for the both of us. It seemed like a decent agreement. Notice I was paying for things from Starbucks. That stuff isn't dollar menu crap, so we'd be even. Dee had insisted on buying me an early birthday gift at the convention, but after asking me about F and maybe me gushing a bit too hard about how awesome she is, he said that he didn't know if he had enough money to buy me one after all. I didn't mind, honestly. As I said, I hate having people spend money on me. Dee ended up following me around the entire convention. Your boy wasn't complaining, as I would need to have him take me up to the room if I wanted to go into our room. Still no key for me. Seeing as when you wear a binder, you need to take breaks as not to injure yourself or cause yourself health problems. I shall also add, on top of all my other issues, I have high-functioning autism. I get easily overwhelmed by sights and sounds. I don't blame him for this, but of course, the one time I was having a panic attack, Dee was off doing his own thing. Your boy was stuck taking shelter in a quiet place away from the convention until Dee finished up and I could go back to the room. You need the key to even get into the room's floor. I went hungry that night because I was not feeling up to walking 10 blocks with the others to get food on the crowded streets. Thank God I brought peanuts. The rest of the convention went alright, mostly me trying to wake up early to let R have the bed so the poor guy could get some sleep, and me buying Dee breakfast at Starbucks. But probably my favorite thing was Dee taking me to eat takoyaki, octopus balls for those of you who don't know. They were actually delicious, and I still get them from a nearby place to this day. Tastes like chicken with a savory breading. The convention itself was lacking. Not many panels I liked, and the few cosplayers, I love the hell out of those people, were simply just for meetups for people who liked that show. They were also in the hallway outside of the rooms. Maybe I'm spoiled by the awesome cons in the Southwest? Perhaps I'm just a convention snob? I don't know, maybe. As there were good times, there was also Dee hounding me to buy him stuff because I had some money for shopping and food that he figured should go towards his posters, or him pulling some borderline elitist lines. You've never been to a convention this big. Try not to get too impressed. I know the way you end up getting lost. What? Little did he know this convention was on the smaller side of the ones that I've been to, and to be fair, I'm direction challenged. But the way he said these things really left a bad feeling in my guts. I had taken a break from speaking to Dee once more, but this time I figured maybe I'm just being a douche, and seeing how he did pay for my ticket, I shouldn't be mad at him over such stupid things. I am a man, and I should just suck it up. Things finally came to a head when my mom ended up in the hospital. She was very sick, and they had to intubate her. Jesus. I was a wreck, and F, who's now my roommate, was trying her best to help me through this. After a week of non-stop visiting my mom in the hospital, Dee and I set up a time for him to come over and watch anime with me. At this time, I had managed to inwardly self-destruct enough to give myself some very painful stomach issues. That night, I'd come home after a long day of missing both meals previous to dinner. Dee was already at my house waiting, and F had made some oven pizzas like the dear she is. I was just praying that I could eat it. Red sauce had previously been causing me pain due to said issues. Dee was very polite to F, and they seemed to get along. I was happy seeing Dee hated G and refused to be around her. Now, myself and F have a very sassy friendship. We love to lovingly say things like, "Work faster," or "I'm gonna push you into traffic," if one of us was doing the dishes or being cheeky. This is important information because after one piece of pizza, I was in some pain and couldn't eat it. I was jokingly, may have been verbally sulking too, it was really good pizza, whining to F about it, but as soon as she leaves the room, D pipes up with, "Oh, quit being such a fat ass." And I swear I could remember telling him not to say that kind of stuff not too long ago. Say that to me, when I was already feeling so awful about my mother, I had enough. After he left, I told F, who was genuinely pissed because if she was in the room when he had said it, she would have tore his head clean off. I was a salty bastard, and it's been about 4 months since our last conversation. I sort of just stopped messaging him, and he hasn't reached out to me since. Odds are D will not know what he did wrong, but I'm sick of having to tell him what he did. I no longer wish to have anything to do with him. I know this seems like a stupid reason to kill off a friendship of so many years, but if someone can't do so much as to not say something nasty to you when you're at your lowest, especially when you would ask them not to say it, is that someone to be friends with? I'm sorry if this story isn't of fedora tipping or chugging 30 gallons of Doritos blended with Mountain Dew, but I hope it brings you entertainment. I hope every single one of you stays safe, and I hope all your dreams come true. This is a heck of a story. It's quite a long one, too. I like the long ones from time to time. As for your decision to end the friendship with this guy, I don't think you're wrong. I think, and this is something that's not said enough and that everybody should hear, if you are in some sort of friendship or even a relationship or whatever with someone and you're not comfortable doing anything, dealing with them, talking the way they do, any of these things, you do not have to put up with that. This is your life. You get to make these decisions. You had asked him multiple times not to do certain things, and he simply would not listen. That's not okay. It's one thing if you forget. I have problems with memory, but I also know that I have these problems, so I leave myself notes. You know, I do something to counteract these problems. I also know I'm bad about procrastinating, so again, I find ways to make sure that I do something, because otherwise I won't do it. I know me. There are ways to do these things, and if you actually, really wanted to change or really wanted to make sure that your friendship doesn't deteriorate or any of these things, you take the steps. You, Silverburb, were making all of the proper steps. This guy, he wasn't doing shit. He was doing whatever the fuck he wanted and just didn't really give a fuck about how anybody else, how they handled that. It was all about him and nobody else. That's some bullshit. That's some straight up bullshit. I'm not okay with that. So yeah, I think you did make a good choice. I think you did properly, say all the things you need to say, act the way you need to act. Your happiness is important. And friendships are about being happy. Being happy with the person you're with. Being happy with, the things that you're doing. If you're miserable all the time, is it really a friendship? I mean, that's just the way I look at it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am. Personally, I don't think I'm ever wrong. Magical unicorn and all that. But anyway, first off, thank you for being here. Thank you everybody for watching, and a special thanks to my Moonfrindio Babbsy-kun for, being that. if you would like to donate to my Patreon and maybe even join this tier, you can do that by going to, well, Patreon. And if you have your own story you'd like to send in, you can send it to r/Moonhorse Stories. And I also have a merch store if you'd like to buy something there. The links to all that and more are in the description down below. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye!